You've been following the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively thing?
Bro, Blake Lively, talk about ruining your reputation, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, they fucked up.
So Joe Rogan just entered the chat, and he is team Justin Baldoni.
So here's the tea. Joe Rogan didn't walk into this drama. He stormed in like it was a UFC fight night and Blake and Ryan were the main event, and he was there to annihilate.
Joe Rogan becomes the latest celebrity to blast Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
No lead up, no politeness, just him on his podcast, millions listening, and one word that cracked their entire Hollywood fairy tale wide open: manipulative.
Justin's physical and mental well-being was severely impacted by this.
And just like that, the mask slipped. That wasn't commentary, that wasn't shade, that was a verbal guillotine.
And Joe Rogan is the latest personality celebrity to come forward and defend sweet Justin Baldoni, calling out Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, saying they effed up.
Rogan didn't just accuse them of playing dirty, he exposed them for allegedly trying to weaponize the Me Too movement to ruin Justin Baldoni and hijack his entire project. And the way he said it, with the tone of someone who's done pretending. Blake and Ryan are anything but a PR-fueled power couple who finally got caught.
Yeah, they fucked up. Ryan's trying to get out of it now. He's trying to get out of the lawsuit, and they're like, you were a key part of this.
This is what you get, though. This is what you get. You're trying to fucking ruin a guy's livelihood by using the Me Too movement.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds built their empire on charm, relatability, and good press. But according to Rogan, that was just the performance. Behind the scenes, he says they were pulling strings, planting stories, and trying to rip a movie franchise out of Justin's hands with the fakest feminist facade imaginable. Rogan didn't mince words. He said it straight up. Blake and Ryan expletive up. And he wasn't alone. Sitting right next to him was Brendan Schaub, co-signing every word like he was watching royalty get dethroned in real time. The whole vibe, let's discuss both sides, and more, they're done, and we're watching the funeral.
Because they were trying to take over the movie.
Yeah.
They were trying to take over the movie and the whole franchise. He owned the franchise.
Manipulative. That's the word Rogan used, and it's the one that hit harder than any allegation so far. Because manipulative isn't about one bad move. It's not about an accident. It's about intent, about crafting an illusion, smiling through lies, playing people like chess pieces and acting shocked when they call checkmate. And suddenly, all those quirky interviews, those couple banters, those red carpet smirks, they don't look so harmless anymore. They look rehearsed. They look calculated. And Rogan, he just said what a lot of people in the industry have been whispering for years, that Blake and Ryan aren't just lucky stars. They're master manipulators in couture.
It's a couple books.
Fuck, the whole thing's crazy.
They're fucked.
And he's suing the New York Times, and he's got a great case
He's going
there,
hard in
too.
the paint. But
He
that's
should.
what it takes.
That's what it takes.
It's like Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
He's like, all right,
Yeah.
he did it for the boys.
Exactly.
Let's not pretend this is just some internet drama. Rogan didn't just blast them in a rant. He put their entire reputation strategy on trial and tore it apart in front of millions. And if there's one thing Rogan knows how to do, it's flip the public script. He did it in the Johnny Depp case. He did it with countless scandals. And now he's doing it with Blake and Ryan, turning them from untouchable Hollywood royalty to the villains of their own narrative. Because the second someone like Joe Rogan, with 5 million Spotify listeners, nearly 17 million YouTube subs, and a fan base that lives online, calls you out like that, it's over.
Remember our tech exchange?
Well, how about she told him to come into the dressing room while she was breastfeeding?
The fun.
And then part of the complaint was that he came into the dressing room while I was breastfeeding. Like, you literally have a text exchange back and forth.
While Rogan was dragging them to hell and back, Justin Baldoni didn't even have to say a word. He let Rogan and the truth do the talking. And that silence, it was louder than any courtroom outburst or Instagram caption could ever be. Because now the public's starting to piece it all together. The lawsuit, the sudden narrative flips, the Hollywood manipulation, and most importantly, the consequences. Because if this keeps up, and spoiler, it will, Blake and Ryan might not be remembered for their movies or their marriage. They'll be remembered for the one word that ended it all.
They just never thought that anybody was going to come out with the receipts.
Because no one's ever done it, because everyone just
Because everyone's scared.
The minute Joe Rogan said the word manipulative, the Blake and Ryan PR machine slammed into overdrive. You could practically hear the sound of stylists, publicists, and legal reps scrambling like their jobs were on the line. Because the one thing that couple can't survive: exposure. They weren't ready for this kind of heat. Not this loud. Not this personal. Not from Joe freaking Rogan, a man with a bigger audience than half of Hollywood combined. And now that it's out there, not just as gossip, but as a conversation starter on every podcast, TikTok, group chat, and Reddit thread. Their entire strategy is collapsing. Because here's what happens when the curtain drops. People stop playing along.
She's using it to assert control over Justin Baldoni, destroy his life. Essentially, it was destroying his family, his health, and everything else.
Blake and Ryan didn't build their public personas on controversy. They built them on control. The relatable couple vibe, the snarky tweets, the staged but not too staged family moments. All of it was designed to keep them likable and safe. But control only works when no one's watching too closely. And right now, everyone's watching. The fans are no longer swooning, they're speculating, the media is no longer flattering, they're fact-checking, and their own. Industry peers are suddenly real quiet because no one wants to be next to a sinking ship when the cameras roll.
That it's a bunch of fabrication and lies, and then you see the control that she took over the movie, and I just don't see how any of these reporters are coming to that conclusion other than they are just trying to meet some type of agenda.
Here's the thing about this town. Everyone talks, but no one speaks first. Until now, Rogan, with his platform, his confidence, and his complete lack of fear, just said out loud what everyone else has been too scared to. Blake and Ryan aren't innocent. They're not sweet, they're calculating, and they got caught. And when someone with Rogan's reach takes the first swing, the rest follow. Quietly, but quickly. Suddenly, insiders are confirming things off the record. Former collaborators are distancing themselves. Execs are reviewing projects with a little more scrutiny. A-listers who used to fawn over Blake at award shows, now keeping their compliments vague and short. Because in this town, loyalty only lasts as long as your reputation does. And right now, Blake and Ryan's reputation is bleeding out on the metaphorical red carpet.
Mr. Reynolds was a key player in the scheme, defaming Justin around Hollywood, strong-arming WME, their agency, into dropping Justin as a client and trying to destroy Justin's career however possible.
Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, the alleged victim of their manipulations, is doing the one thing they can't afford to do right now: nothing. No messy interviews, no dramatic social posts, just silence. Steady, composed, and deadly effective. Because with Rogan amplifying his side of the story, Justin doesn't need to scream. He just needs to exist. Every day he stays quiet and measured while Blake and Ryan flail behind the scenes. His credibility grows, and so does the public's trust in his version of events. That's what makes this so dangerous for them. They can't pin this on some rogue headline or a bad edit. The narrative is no longer theirs to control. The internet has taken it, and it's siding with the guy who didn't throw the first punch, but might just land the last one.
She's opened up about the fact that she struggles for equality, all of the struggles that she faces on behalf of trying to stand up as a woman.
Don't be fooled. The public is only seeing the surface. But inside Hollywood, it's a whole different story. Producers are nervous. Co-stars are backing away. Longtime allies are quietly making sure their names aren't next to Blake, and Ryan's in the credits. No one's tweeting support. No one's publicly defending them. That's not a coincidence. That's fear. Because when Rogan said what he said, he didn't just call out two celebrities. He called out a system, one that lets big names use social movements for power grabs, weaponize false narratives, and walk away untouched. And now that someone said it, people are realizing they've seen it before. Maybe not as loud, maybe not as obvious, but the blueprint, it's familiar. And Blake and Ryan just became the poster couple for Hollywood hypocrisy.
It's just disgusting. But as more and more evidence has come out, you're seeing more people are siding with Justin Baldoni.
Blake and Ryan used to own the room. Whether it was a press junket, a red carpet, or a charity gala, they walked in, cameras followed, and deals got made. They were the kind of couple that executives built projects around because they were a guaranteed safe bet. But now, people see them coming and the temperature drops. Not visibly, not dramatically, but behind the scenes, it's happening. Fast, quiet, permanent. Studios are no longer seeing them as a pair of charming assets. They're PR liabilities, because no matter how many filters you slap on a new Netflix poster or how many sarcastic tweets Ryan posts, the truth is out. The internet's watching too closely now, and no brand wants to tie itself to a couple under fire for manipulation, abuse of power, and weaponized narratives. Because once your image becomes toxic, every contract becomes a risk assessment.
But I'm grateful that she's going through this because it's making a lot of people question what, in fact, modern feminism has become.
It starts subtly. A producer who can't make that meeting anymore. A stylist who's suddenly double booked for press day. A studio who wants to revisit things in Q4. A co-star who once gushed about you in interviews, now refusing to mention your name at all. These aren't accidents. These are rehearsed moves. Damage control, industry style, and Blake and Ryan, they feel it. They know when a phone that used to ring twice a day has gone dark for a week. They know when the campaign calls stop coming in, and the roles that were once guaranteed now come with a long list of concerns. Because what no one will say out loud, but everyone is thinking, is this: if they were really capable of that, what else are they capable of?
Because everyone usually just
Because everyone's scared.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Reynolds A-list, Blake Lively A-list. Like, don't do the Queen. Like,
That's Taikiti.
oh,
Their brand was their armor. They weren't just actors, they were aspirations. Blake was the woman every girl wanted to be. Polished, powerful, poised. Ryan was the guy every man wanted to be. Funny, charming, one of the good ones. Together, they were invincible. But now that Joe Rogan tore back the curtain and used the word that shattered everything, manipulative, that armor doesn't shine anymore. It cracks under pressure because suddenly every fan is replaying old clips and seeing red flags. Every couple pic feels forced. Every funny tweet looks like a calculated distraction. Every time they were praised for being progressive, now reeks of performance. And the fandom is done. Not enraged, not burning merch in the street, just over it. The quiet kind of done that actually hurts a celebrity more than hate. The kind where people stop caring, stop watching, stop buying, because when the illusion breaks, there's no mystery left. Just two actors clinging to a spotlight that no longer wants them.
exactly. You got to do it.
You need real motherfuckers to be like, nah, man, I ain't going out like this.
Yeah, especially a guy like that. It was like known as being like this really sweet, nice guy.
Yep.
And then it's like, all right,
Dude,
enough.
he posted the receipts. He's like, oh, remember our tech exchange?
You know what happens when the facade breaks? The whispers turn into full sentences. Unnamed sources suddenly have a lot to say. Former assistants remember everything. People who were once close to the couple are now subtly feeding the machine with inside details and trust. The machine is hungry. They're not always messy about it. No direct accusations, no full exposés, just breadcrumbs. Just enough to confirm the vibe without putting a name on it. There were always power dynamics on set. Ryan wasn't exactly how he came off in interviews. Blake was deeply involved in more than people realized. Suddenly, the behind-the-scenes stories that once got brushed off as rumors, they feel like truth. Because if Joe Rogan, of all people, was right about this much, what else was he right about?
I think even feminists will agree that you can't just believe someone because they make accusations, especially once the evidence shows that it's a bunch of fabrication and lies, and then you see the control that she took over the movie. And
right now, the media's in a holding pattern. Because while Blake and Ryan's downfall is actively unfolding, everyone's waiting for the real trigger moment. The court loss, the leaked email, the next person to come forward. And when it happens, it'll be a feeding frenzy. You'll see all the outlets that once praised Blake's classic elegance and Ryan's sharp wit, turning the knife with headlines like, "The hidden power plays behind Hollywood's favorite couple. When charm becomes control." A timeline of the lively Reynolds fallout. The Joe Rogan take that age too well. And don't think for a second that Netflix, Hulu, or Disney won't quietly revise their marketing strategy the second those headlines drop, because nobody bets on a scandal in this town. They just wait for it to explode and run when it does.
So spot on. Brandon and Joe are spot on, and it's just encouraging to see more big personalities, outlets, celebrities just talking about it realistically and not the way Blake and Hollywood is trying to spin it.
Here's the reality. Blake and Ryan aren't in damage control mode anymore. They're in survival mode. What started as a quiet legal conflict has now exploded into a public reckoning, and there's no way out that doesn't leave scars. The illusion is shattered, the fans are gone, and Hollywood is officially, silently, distancing itself from two names that once commanded red carpets like royalty. And the worst part, the final nail hasn't even been hammered in yet, but it's coming. Fast.
They fucked up. Ryan's trying to get out of it now. He's trying to get out of the lawsuit. And they're like, you're a key part of this.
This is what you get, though. This is what you get. You're trying to fucking ruin a guy's livelihood.
Joe Rogan's exposure lit the match, but now it's the legal system that's pouring gasoline. With Blake's attempts to dodge Justin Baldoni's lawsuit backfiring spectacularly, the case has shifted from a minor inconvenience to a very real threat. And Blake knows it, because this isn't just about defamation anymore. It's about intent, the kind of intent that, if proven, could label her as someone who knowingly manipulated a man's reputation and did it with malice. And let's be clear, if the court rules in Justin's favor, that ruling becomes permanent. It becomes Google-able. It becomes part of her legacy, and no amount of glam gowns, Vogue covers, or snappy sound bites will ever erase a court-backed statement that says, yes, she lied. Yes, she tried to destroy him. Yes, she got caught. It's not just reputation damage, it's reputation death.
Blake Lively, talk about ruining your reputation, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, they fucked up. Ryan's trying to get out of it now, trying to get out of the lawsuit. And they're like, you were a key part of this.
This is what you get, though.
For a while, it looked like Ryan might slide through, let Blake take the heat while he stayed quiet and distanced. But now, that silence is starting to sound like complicity. He was involved. He was part of the alleged takeover. He allegedly tried to manipulate the legal system to remove himself from accountability, and the court saw right through it. And if Blake is found guilty of malicious defamation, Ryan's brand, the quirky, good guy act, collapses right along with hers, because no one believes the charming husband didn't know what was happening behind closed doors. He didn't stop it. He didn't speak out. He just smiled for the camera while someone else bled behind it. And now, he's about to pay the price.
It's whiny, it's bratty, and it needs to end. So to that, I say thank you to Blake Lively.
Here's the harsh truth. There's only one way Blake and Ryan recover from this, and that's if the world forgets. But in 2025, nothing gets forgotten. Every tweet is archived. Every podcast is clipped. Every lawsuit is tracked, posted, analyzed, and immortalized online. You can't just rebrand after this kind of scandal. You can't lay low for a year and come back with a new Marvel contract because no one's buying it anymore. If this goes where it looks like it's going, and all signs say it will, then Blake and Ryan won't be remembered as the couple who kept it real in Hollywood. They'll be remembered as the cautionary tale, the duo who flew too close to the sun on a wing of curated charm and got burned alive by their own strategy. And what's left? Not much. Just closed doors, lost deals, and two celebrities who thought they were playing chess, but were actually pawns in their own downfall. So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell so you'll be the first to get notified about the latest drama.